Hey everyone, Alex Angulo here, and welcome back to episode 5 of the Wide Right podcast. And yes, it has been that long. It has been that long. The Wide Right podcast has been running since, dare I say it, we've been running since the 18th, and this is the 5th episode, so that's exciting. So this time, it's FCS. So what is the FCS? It's formerly Division 1 AA, and it kind of came to prominence after the 2007 season opener between Appalachian State and Michigan. So there. So I know a lot of people, if you've heard the last two podcasts, I've broken down Division 2 and Division 3 football. Sorry about moving away from the mic. I have to move my glasses out so it doesn't seem all that crowded. But the D1 FCS Championship is played at Toyota Stadium, home of FC Dallas. So, yeah. So let's talk about some of the teams that are either some of the big some of the big conference changes. So obviously, as everyone knows, the Idaho Vandals went from being an FBS opponent in the Sun Belt to the Big Sky. The Campbell Fighting Camels moving to the Big South from Pioneer. Hampton is going from the MEAC to becoming an independent. Liberty is going from the Big South to an FBS independent. North Alabama. Yes, there's more than one Alabama team, or two actually. You're going from the Gulf South, which is Division 2, to an FCS, and then North Dakota Fighting Hawks, they're going from the Big Sky to becoming an independent, even though it says here, to accommodate pre-existing game contracts, it will still play its Big Sky conference schedule, I believe for the season. So yeah, you kind of see it, but I think next year it'll be more or less, Alright, and of course, that's about it. Of course, everyone knows the redshirt rules. If you don't know, it says here, players cannot participate in as many as 4 games in a given season while remaining a redshirt. The only exception to this new rule is that players who enroll at a school in mid-year and participate in postseason competition that take place during or before the first academic term at a certain school, they'll lose the full year still. Alright, so there was a preseason friendly where, where the Drake Bulldogs, defeated the China All-Stars coming up of the American Football League of China, the China Arena Football League, and the CBL over there. And, well, they demolished them. They kind of enjoyed themselves, 77-0. I'm just like, holy shit, that's amazing. Okay, so currently the only kickoff game will be the Jacksonville State Gamecocks and the North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State Aggies. Alright, so if you've been listening to the past 2 podcasts, you've kind of understood that I break down the conferences, and they are not forgiving in those two divisions even. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just happy to say there's 13 conferences plus the independents. And because it's so short, I said that, I think I said last time that episode 4 will probably be the very last episode that I do under an hour. So, yeah, Yeah, the longest one was a second one, and that, I believe, was discussing, the 75% problem, then Liga MX and MLS, and the Division 1 bowl schedule, the FBS bowl schedule. Let's talk about a couple of conferences and the teams that are in it. So we have the Big Sky. You have Cal Poly, I believe it's Cal Poly Pomona? California Polytechnic. Oh, San Luis Obispo. I thought it was, fuck you, Spanos. Yeah, they play in, it's the California Polytechnic State University at San Luis Obispo. I thought it was Cal Poly Pomona. I think they're a Division II team. So in the Big Sky, you have Cal Poly, Eastern Washington, Idaho, making their reintroduction into the FCS, which means now that they're re-eligible, I believe. I don't know how Division II eligibility rules work when a team actually drops, but I think they're immediately qualified. Idaho State, Montana State, Northern Arizona, Northern Colorado, Portland State, Sacramento State, Southern Utah, UC Davis, and Weber State. And then you have, in the Big South, that was the Big Sky, by the way. Big South, you have Campbell, Charleston Southern, Gardner-Webb, Kennesaw State, Monmouth, and Presbyterian. And then in the Colonial Athletic Association, you have Albany, Delaware, Elon, James Madison, who were runner-up to North Dakota State last year, Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Richmond, Stony Brook, Towson, Villanova, because you have to have a football team. They don't. Yeah, Villanova does have a basketball team which recently won the national championship, but remember, they do have a football team as well. And William and Mary. And then the Ivy League, because yes, the Ivy League is FCS. Everyone thinks it's FBS. No, it's FCS. Okay, okay, alright, so Ivy League, you should know it's Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, Harvard, Penn, Princeton, and Yale. And then, and then the MEAC, I believe, is more, the MEAC, it's a Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, and it contains Bethune-Cookman, Delaware State, Florida A&M, Howard, Morgan State, Norfolk State, North Carolina A&T, as mentioned earlier, North Carolina Central, Savannah State, and South Carolina State. Then the Missouri Valley Football Conference. You have Illinois State, Indiana State, Missouri State, North Dakota State, the defending national champion, 6 titles in 7 years. South Dakota State, Southern Illinois, Western Illinois, and Youngstown State. Then the Northeast Conference contains Bryant, Central Connecticut, Duquesne, I don't know how to pronounce it, Robert Morris, Sacred Heart, and Wagner, Jukin. I have no idea how to pronounce it. Okay. Oh, that's my soda if you heard it, but I had a Diet Coke because I had in and out. And then I'm just going to call them the Dukes because I don't want to pronounce that shit improperly. Then the Ohio Valley Conference, you have Austin Peay, Eastern Illinois, Eastern Kentucky, Jacksonville State, Murray State, Southwest Missouri State, Tennessee Tech, and University of Tennessee at Martin. Then the Patriot League, you have Bucknell, Colgate, not the toothpaste brand, Fordham, Georgetown, Holy Cross, Lafayette, and Lehigh. And then the Pioneer, you got Butler, Davidson, Dayton, Drake, Jacksonville, Marist, Morehead State, San Diego, Stetson, and Valparaiso. I can't really pronounce that as well. Then the Southern Conference, you have Chattanooga, the Citadel, East Tennessee State, Furman, Mercer, Samford, VMI, which is Virginia Military Institute, Western Carolina and Wofford. Southland Conference, you have Abilene Christian, Central Arkansas, Houston Baptist, Incarnate Word, Lamar, McNeese State, Nichols State, Northwestern State. So many states. How many states we got? Sam Houston State, Southeastern Louisiana, and Stephen F. Austin. And then the SWAC, which is one of the historically black historically black college and university. That contains Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University, Alabama State, Alcorn State, Jackson State, Mississippi Valley State, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Grambling State, Prairie View A&M Southern, and Texas Southern. And then the independents are Hampton, North Alabama, and North Dakota. Okay. So, what about last year's, let's do a little recap from last year. The Guardian Credit Union, or the Montgomery Kickoff Classic. The Jacksonville State defeated Chattanooga 27-13. BYU defeated Portland State 20-6. Colgate defeated Cal Poly 2014. And then Florida A&M hosted Texas Southern, winning 29-7. And then the FCS W's over FBS. You have Tennessee State narrowly defeating Georgia State 17-10. James Madison defeating East Carolina 34-14. Liberty defeating Baylor 48-45. Howard defeating UNLV 43-40. New Hampshire beating Georgia Southern 22-12. South Dakota defeating Bowling Green 35-27. North Carolina A&T defeating Charlotte 35-31. Idaho State nearly squeaking out a safety win over Nevada's 30-28, and then Western Illinois over Coastal Carolina 52-10. Okay, so let's talk about the conference winners. You had Southern Utah and Weber State both tying for the best record in the Big Sky. Kennesaw State, the outright Big South champion. James Madison winning the Colonial Athletic. Yale winning the Ivy. North Carolina A&T winning the MEAC. And they also won the... Well, I'm going to get to that in a moment. North Dakota State winning the MVFC. Central Connecticut winning the Northeast. Jacksonville State winning the Ohio Valley. Colgate and Lehigh tying for the Patriot League. San Diego winning the Pioneer. Wofford winning the Southern. And Central Arkansas defeated the... Well, Central Arkansas won the Southland. And then, those were the automatics. The absentations were Yale, North Carolina A&T, and Grambling State. So November 25th, you had Stony Brook defeating Lehigh, Weber State defeating Western Illinois, New Hampshire defeating Central Connecticut, Northern Iowa beating Monmouth, San Diego defeating Northern Arizona, Furman beating Eli, Kennesaw State defeating Samford, and South Dakota defeating Nichols State. And then that's the first round. Second round, James Madison defeated Stony Brook. Southern Utah lost to Weber State. New Hampshire defeated Central Arkansas. South Dakota State defeated Northern Iowa. North Dakota State defeated San Diego. Wofford defeated Furman. Jacksonville State lost to Kennesaw State in an upset. And then Sam Houston State defeated South Dakota. There's that. Quarterfinals, you had James Madison defeat Weber State, South Dakota State demolish New Hampshire, North Dakota State demolish Wofford, and Sam Houston State defeating Kennesaw State. And then James Madison defeated South Dakota State, and then North Dakota State defeated Sam Houston State, and then North Dakota State avenged their loss to James Madison, I believe the year before. In the semifinals, semifinals, 17-13, and then the Celebration Bowl, which is the HBCU National Championship game. North Carolina A&T defeated Grambling State 21-14. And let's talk about that for a second. The HBCU, a lot of people don't really talk about it that much. The HBCU is basically the it talks about all these like universities. You got well, I gotta say this. It's pretty interesting, but you got a list of a lot of HBCU. You got the Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association, the Southern, and then the MEAC and the SWAC. The Central is the Division II, and you currently have Bowie State, Chowan, who will be leaving starting in 2019-2020 school year, Clayton, Elizabeth City State, Fayetteville State, Johnson C. Smith University, Lincoln University, Livingston College. You get the picture. The SIAC is also Division II, but the MEAC and the SWAC are sorry. If I do this, like, that means I messed up by accident. But the MEAC and the SWAC are predominantly black universities. So, and that's why they play that Celebration Bowl. In fact, Celebration Bowl, in my opinion, is one of the best games of the year. And it started in 2015 with North Carolina defeating Alcorn State. And then Grambling State defeating North Carolina Central. Grambling State losing to North Carolina A&T. And this year's Celebration Bowl will be December 15th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the Celebration Bowl. Now, there is a potential for an FBS team to defeat, well, to fall to a FCS team. So this is the I'm gonna link the description. I'm gonna link the well, I'm gonna say this. Sorry about that, but yeah, a lot of people are gonna say that Division I is pretty much dead. I'm just kidding. FCS is pretty good. So let's go through the conferences. So the Big Sky, you had Southern Utah and Weber State going 7-1, Northern Arizona, Eastern Washington, Sacramento State going 6-2, Montana State 5-3, UC Davis going 3-5, Idaho State going 2-6, Northern Colorado, North Dakota going 2-6 as well, Cal Poly going 1-7, and Portland State getting their asses shut out in the 2017 season. Kennesaw State went the perfect 5-0. Monmouth went 4-1. Charleston Southern went 3-2. Well, it just kind of goes down the list, okay? So according to the the article. Cool. Oh, by the way, I thought this was going to be over an hour. It's going to be under 30 minutes. But the potential FCS over FBS upsets, it could be Kennesaw State at Georgia State, James Madison North Carolina State, South Dakota State at Iowa State, Northern Arizona at UTEP, North Carolina A&T at East Carolina, and Nichols at Kansas, and then Western Illinois at Illinois. That is the idea. And wowzers, I thought I was going to go longer, but I guess the next one is going to be pretty long, so I will see you guys next time.